Hey folks, Tom Willard here with the update. First off, happy Labor Day weekend. It's Friday afternoon, about 6:30 in the evening on Friday. What is it? September 4th. Want to do this video over the long weekend, give you guys a chance to review it, and also we'll be doing, I think, my release of my scan video. It'll be coming out either later today or tomorrow. But I want to run through some things here with the market and hope everything's going well. This has been a great market for the most part for day trading. You'll get some days where there's not a whole lot of range. And you'll notice here, like if you look at the 60-minute chart here on the lower left, here like this day here, right, we went pretty much sideways all day. We peekabooed up, came down. So really not a lot of overall, if you look at market stocks. Now with day trading, what's great about it in equities is there's always something that's moving. Okay, there's always something putting in some sort of range. If you can find that and you have the ability to scan and find those things, and I talk about that in my scanning videos on this channel, you can find things that are moving and take advantage. So even though the overall market, such as this ETF that represents the SPYs, okay, doesn't do anything, it doesn't mean that that day stunk from a day trading perspective. Okay, but if you're trading like the major, the QQQ, the SPYs, the diamonds, some of these ETFs, you can see that the range here is fantastic. The range here is great. Even the end of the day here, then it went to nothing here, nothing here. Okay, here was kind of a grind until the very end of the day. Here was just kind of a sideways all day and then a pop. Here was up and down, a pretty decent day up and down. And then here, with this latest day here, you can see here on the 15-minute chart that it really went nowhere. And then it broke lower, and then it came right back up, and it slammed here toward the end. Now, toward the end of the day here, it gives me some, is going to be the subject matter of this video, part of it. We'll talk about what happened as well as what to think about for Tuesday's trading, because as you know, Monday our markets are closed. However, I think most global markets, overseas markets are open, and there's some nervousness about what might happen and transpire overseas that could carry over to things on our Tuesday session. So, from an overall perspective on the SPYs, if you look at this here, we've got one heck of a come down here, and we've got to the point where, from a candle by candle perspective, in your classic quote unquote patterns, if you're a technical trader, you throw all that crap out the window, because the bottom line is your reward to risk is completely screwed because of the fact that you've got such large ranges and bars. Okay, if you get in thinking, hey, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna buy this over 200 because I've got a green candle here on support, but I have to put my stop way down at 185, 180, 180ish in change, right? So that's a $20 stop, and you've only got $10 to this massive overhead top. Your reward is $10, and your risk is $15 to $20 per share. No, don't do it. Right? There's no benefit of that. Okay, and you can say, well, I'll just put a tighter stop in. Well, then on these days here, with the day, this is a weekly chart, the daily chart, you can get chopped to pieces on the overnight gaps. Okay, so you have to come up with a reasonable stop. And right now with the overnight stuff, a lot of it's hard. Now I want to point out some ideas in my other video, my detailed scanning video, where things are tighter. Okay, where you've got a lot more, in a sense, um, quietness with regards to the volatility on the daily charts of some issues that I think are pretty good ideas for longs or shorts, okay, that you can look at and have tighter stops. Now, granted, anything, I repeat, anything when you get up the next day could be gapping down 20%, no matter how tight it was trading the day or the weeks or the months or the years before. As you've seen in this massive gap down. In fact, my last video was done on the 21st. The next day we had that cataclysmic open down, which was one of the most lucrative and easiest trading days, in my opinion, from a day trading perspective. Just buying the open, okay, finding a way on a micro time frame for this gap down. Now, that's a whole other video. It was a course actually in how to make money on a day when you get the catastrophic gap down there. But there were some nice micro patterns, very lucrative day trading opportunity from a day trading perspective on the long side for most names on that massive Dow down. I think it was 1,000 points at some point in the early morning, and you guys on TV were stuttering and well, I better call somebody. So anyway. That was an interesting and very lucrative day if you knew what you're looking for. Now, I want to talk about a couple of major stocks that most people know about. All right, first up, good old BABA. Okay, a lot of people have heard of BABA. If you haven't, you're probably not much of involved in the markets anyway, which is fine. But BABA is a stock. It was a new issue that was issued in September-ish of last year. You'll see here if I go back to I'm sorry, of 14. Yeah, September ish of 2014. And you see BABA here went up to 120 and then it came down, kind of tried to base out here, popped up, down. You can see now the moving averages on the weekly chart are down on the 20. Okay, you've got it rolled over and it's moving lower. Okay, now on the daily chart here, you'll notice it's been in a nice downtrend. You'll notice it's tried to pop up here to the declining 20 period moving average. Okay, and it's been kicked back here and here, as well as here at peekaboo above. Okay, and so far it hasn't really been able to get up over. Now, today, you'll notice this one also gapped down big on that day where we had that massive sell-off and it moved up. Okay, very nice move. Back up to the moving average, back down, back up, trying to go down. Now, what happened today was interesting. You can see it had 3 days here was kind of up with 3 higher lows, and then they had the red bar here that took out the support point, and volume spiked a little bit, especially on a day like today where volumes overall were generally weak. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to show you on the other video that have really, really low quiet volume that are interesting to me and things to watch for the next week of trading. But this one is interesting because here, if we go drill down from the daily to the 60, you'll see here we broke down nicely. Okay, and I'm going to show you that trade from today. Awesome breakdown, short trade. And it came down and took out that support area. Look at the volume as it picked up here. It came down hard, okay, broke that support area here. Here's the 50-minute chart. Was able to pop up pretty solidly into the above the 20 period and then back down. And then a big volume spike here toward the end. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Or what does this equate to for what I'm looking for on Tuesday? Okay, what I'm looking for is this. Bottom line is this thing has what we call a massive tradable area to the downside, a void, if you will, where it gapped down and went pretty much straight up all this day. So if it breaks this area, there's not a lot of support areas to hold this thing up. It technically broke it today. So the question is like, okay, so it's basically popped that bubble. Is it going to follow through? And if it doesn't, the shorts in this name are going to be disappointed, especially if we get overseas positivity out of especially China, okay, Asian markets. On Monday, leading into Tuesday, right up to our opening session on Tuesday, if we've got a couple of strong days there coming out of China, this thing could rock on the upside. So here's my thing. Stay open to going long and short on this. But I'm leaning more to the long side if we get strong days in the markets overseas on Monday, Tuesday. Okay. If not, this thing you can short this thing on the downside easy on an intraday chart. Okay. Day trade only. All right. Technically, from a short swing trade perspective, could you take it? Absolutely. It busted that point today and actually hit it right here. The low was 64. Okay, so at 64, you could get in with a stop above that pivot around $67 a share. Okay, if you're bold. All right. But I'm looking more for a day trade. I'm leaning more to the long side first, but it depends on what happens. If China falls apart on Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be curtains for this thing. You better be looking short on this thing on Tuesday, depending on where it opens, of course. Look at some of its peers and look for where it opens within this void. If it opens flat or if it opens down, gaps down into it. But if this thing's strong and it can't follow through to this downside and this volume spike below the support area, I like this as a long idea. Okay, especially with overseas. So it really depends on what the markets do overseas. But take a peek at this one on Tuesday, and I will try to tweet about it, especially if you remind me. On Tuesday during the trading session. Okay, now here's the breakdown. This is one of my bread and butter. I love this trade. It was absolutely massively profitable. You can see the move here on the 15-minute chart. You got the declining moving average, okay, below this higher time moving average, indicating downtrend. It's come down, gapped down, it came up, it kind of drifted up, came right back down to the lows, and then put in this. It broke the low, didn't fall through, okay? Put in this really nice tight base here on the 15-minute chart. Popped up. I love that. That gives it juice, okay? Slingshot play. Watch the stop up here. Put the stop up here. You enter right below the low, and it's instant gratification. You're taking the breakdown here, and you're holding it for 30 minutes to an hour, okay? Riding this down. Target is where? This support area here, around $64 a share, okay? That's where I'm looking to get out. Now, granted, it went lower than my target, but that's fine. I'm good with that. I'll get in, okay? Take my 75-cent profit, okay, and call it good. Because you don't know how much further it can go. Now, what you can do is if it's in your plan, is take some of the profits off of the target and let some ride go to a trail stop mentality on the same time frame you got in on. Okay, but a fantastic trade on BABA today for your review. Now, the last stock I want to talk about really quickly is this one, because Netflix is one that obviously is talked about a lot. It's been a very strong stock. You can see here that again, like everything else, is pretty much trash from a candlestick perspective with regards to entries and exits. Okay, you got to play more support areas, resistance areas, tornadic formations, breaking of support and resistance areas. Okay, trying to go the opposite way of those formations. But what I want to show you is this, and it's the monthly chart. This, my friends, to me, if you look at any textbook, when you see this, okay, after a run up, this typically means it's the end of the run. Okay, it's over. Now, I have a general feeling that I think this market, because of the bearishness and the talk and what I'm seeing here, I think this market can go up and test the highs. I think the market could actually go make new highs for this year. But I think at the end of the day, whether it's toward the end of the year or if it's early part of next year, I think we're going to get that deeper correction like I talked about on the monthly charts on the SPYs and the Qs. So Netflix here, I would trade it carefully. You can trade it long, you can trade it short. Like I said, from an overnight hold perspective, you're gambling. I don't really do that. Okay, from a day trading perspective, you got massive voids down where you get short this thing. If the market's weak, you can go long. This thing's been relatively weak over the last couple days when the market was a little bit stronger and trying to bounce. Okay, look at the Qs on the daily chart here as it pops up. Notice the Qs were going up and the Netflix was kind of drifting down and came lower. Okay, so it's showing relative weakness as of late. But Netflix is not a name I'd be buying and holding for the long term at this point. Okay, if anything, it could go back up. In fact, this market here after this run, okay, if you look at the chart, I don't see why it could not go back up and test this 110 area. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Now I'm not buying it because, like I said, if I buy it and hold it overnight, my stop. Where's my stop going to be? Where's my safe stop? Well, it's way the heck down here. The reward to risk is not worth it. So I strongly suggest you don't. Okay. But watch this thing. See if it's going to go up and make those highs. If it makes new highs, it may be time to look to actually get short for the longer term. All right. Because we may get like a head and shoulders, or we may get a double top here if it goes back up. Because I think a lot of people will be pretty surprised if this market can make new highs. Okay. The other thing I want to point out is that, like I said, there are some stocks, however, even though this isn't providing a nice, tight little risk stop, okay, as well as most of it, there are some that I think that are. And so you can play off that thought process around if you think this market can go back up and make new highs, okay, there are some issues, and that's what's great about stocks. You can find things that are in that less volatile arena. Okay, but always take into mind earnings reports and the rest of the stuff, which can cause more volatility in your names. Okay, and have a stop in place and know that when you're playing overnight, you're taking a bigger risk from a stop perspective because things can gap, especially in this environment, massively against you or for you in your favor. Okay, and you've got to have a plan. You got to have an outline as to what you're going to do, what actions you're going to take objectively. So that you can make the best decisions and go and play the odds and put them on your side. Okay? All right, so I hope that helps. Hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, holler. Tom at TomWillardTrading.com. Enjoy your long weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.